What area or areas of the brain are impacted when a baby suffers a traumatic brain injury at birth, like HIE or hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy? This video is a follow-up to a video that I just did. So if you go on my profile, check out the video before this, because I talk about the long-term impacts of a baby that has suffered an HIE diagnosis. And before I get deep into this video, I want to help you understand, or let's define HIE. HIE is hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy, and it occurs in our context when a baby has a reduction of oxygenated blood, which then turns into a brain injury because there's a reduction in blood and oxygen. And so to be able to answer the area or areas of the brain are going to be impacted, you need to know a lot of times it's going to be based on the severity of the injury. The more severe the injury, then of course more areas of the brain can be impacted by the injury. But in general, what we see is we'll see injuries to like the basal ganglia area. You could have injuries to the watershed area. You could have injuries to the cerebral cortex. These types of areas can be injured. And so, for example, when there is an injury to the basal ganglia area, that area is going to control things like movement. It's going to control things like speech. It's going to control things like posture. So when you think about a brain injury, understanding what areas of the brain that have been injured can help you sometimes be able to predict some of the future challenges because of the area or areas of the brain that have been impacted by the injury. When an HIE injury occurs, I'm just going to be honest, for a lot of parents, this can be very devastating, because a lot of times, especially early on, you may not know the challenges that the baby is going to face because of everything being so early on in the process. For many families, they're really able to see the impact of the injury further down the road as their baby gets older. So for an HIE injury, it is very important. This is why when families contact us and they have questions as to the cause of the injury, what happened, how did this happen, especially if mom had an uneventful pregnancy, when there are no genetic issues that are present, when there are no developmental issues that are present, then, I tell families, you really need to take a look into that third area, which is negligence. Did something that the doctors or the nurse or the hospital, is it something that they did during labor and delivery which caused the baby to have a traumatic brain injury like this? Was it birth trauma? So the purpose of this video today was to just give you a general, from a medical legal standpoint, general issues that are present when we are trying to figure out, what area or areas of the brain have been impacted by a baby's traumatic brain injury like HIE. If you have more questions, maybe you're here today and you have those questions, you want to know, was the cause of your baby's HIE injury, was it something that the doctors or the nurse or the hospital, was it something that they did, or was this genetic? Was it developmental? If you have these types of questions, what I invite you to do is to go ahead and pick up the phone and give me a call. There's a telephone number down below on the screen. I invite you to get your phone and call me. Talk with me, talk with my office. This is what we do. HIE injuries, MAS, cerebral palsy, brachial plexus injury. This is what we do. Remember that when you contact my office, be sure to give them a date and a time. When you talk to my secretary, to get on our calendar, pick a date and a time, and make sure you have a working email, because that's also important too. One more thing before I get out of here. I practice law here in the state of Maryland, and I know from time to time I'll have individuals that'll contact my office and they are not in Maryland. They are in the United States, but they're not in Maryland. You've got to understand that if you contact me and you are not in Maryland, that we have to use, you're in the United States, but you're not in Maryland, we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we can work to help you with, but I just want to make sure that you understand that co-counsel or that local counsel aspect of things if you are not here in the state of Maryland. All right, that's going to be it for us tonight's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We'll talk with you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.